Welcome to Mean Street Journal. Today's episode, the heavy albums of 1998. The late 90s are full of strange trends. They were kinda all over the place. With the decline of the alternative scene, strange and obscure flavor of the month artists, cringy poppy ska music, and the rebirth of swing music. Yeah, in Orange County I even seen a bunch of zoot suit shops around the place. And with the rise of nu metal into the mainstream, traditional metal bands either followed suit or stayed with their roots and went back to the club scene, or in some cases, stayed in the club scene. I'm going to start off with Bruce Dickinson, Chemical Wedding, his fifth solo album, also featuring Adrian Smith, the guitarist of Iron Maiden, and guitarist Roy Z. Arthur Brown even makes a cameo on 3 tracks on the record. And again, like I said about the album before, Accident of Birth, this album too represents plenty of Iron Maiden elements as well. The lyrical themes on the album are pretty diverse as well, such as fear, tragedy, union, and biblical issues. My go-to tracks on the album would be The Tower and the song Trumpets of Jericho, which was heard on the film Bride of Chucky. During the sessions of this album, a cover version of the song The Zoo by the Scorpions was done, which appeared on the ECW Wrestling compilation CD. And speaking of Iron Maiden, this is the final album Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith recorded under the solo Bruce Dickinson name, before rejoining Iron Maiden the following year. The British sci-fi horror film Chemical Wedding features a screenplay by Bruce Dickinson himself, and also features the song Chemical Wedding to the soundtrack. The reception of the album was pretty good, one source making a reference of the album Peace of Mind by Iron Maiden. Number 2, Rob Zombie, Hellbilly Deluxe, Geffen Records. After the split of White Zombie, this is the debut album by Rob Zombie himself. The band's lineup consists of Riggs on guitars, Blasco on bass, and White Zombie drummer John Tempesta. Tommy Lee from Motley Crue even makes an appearance on 2 tracks playing drums. And as we know, the album style is heavy industrial metal, with similarities to White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000 album. The success of Rob Zombie's solo career was greater than his previous band, with this album going triple platinum. The 3 singles on the album are Super Beast, Living Dead Girl, and Dracula. Number 3, Anthrax, Volume 8, The Threat Is Real. The style of this album would be groove and alternative metal, with low-tuned guitars, and featuring Dimebag Darrell and Philip Anselmo from Pantera on select tracks. The album is good, not great, and despite the mixed reviews, it got 118 on the Billboard 200. There's a single for the album and a video for the song Inside Out. Most of the songs are well written, yet there are a couple odd fillers in the mix, which you could probably figure out on your own, but my go-to track on the album would be Stealing from a Thief. Number 4, Soulfly, self-titled album, released on Roadrunner Records. It kinda took me a minute to grow on this album, Max Cavalera's new band after leaving Sepultura and all that, and the style of the album is very similar to the Roots album released 2 years before that. And the album features a lot of special guests like Chino Moreno from the Deftones, that guy from Limp Bizkit, Burton C. Bell and Dino from Fear Factory, Benji from Dub War, and plenty others. And this album also went gold, just like Sepultura's Roots album. My go-to track on the album would be Fire. Even though Tribe, Eye for an Eye, and Bleed are the featured tracks, I kinda find Fire fucking way better. Also the song Remains Insane is pretty fucking punk rock. Soulfly toured for this album. That was my first concert I went to back in 1998 at the Glass House in Pomona, California, where I'd found the band Snot to be really good and the band Livid, a local LA band. Anyway, next, speaking of, Sepultura, Against, also on Roadrunner Records. This would be the first album to feature new vocalist Derek Green, and this album also is a similar style to the album Roots that they did before, and even some hardcore punk influence as well. The album got mixed reviews because maybe the new frontman and the new style sound that they had. And like the Soulfly album, I find the album good, but not great. Jason Newsted from Metallica even does backing vocals on a song and plays a baritone guitar. And that song would be Hatred Aside, probably one of the better songs on the album. And like every Sepultura album, every album features a unique tribal blend. Kodo, the Japanese drum group, appears on the album as well. The singles on the album would be Tribus and Choke. And despite the bullshit you hear people talk about the band changing singers, it's a really good album. Definitely check it out. I mean, so many fucking bands have gone through lineup changes, big ones like this. I mean, give it a chance, you know? Alright, Fear Factory, Obsolete, Roadrunner Records, a fucking again. Oh, that label really upped the game in the fucking music industry at this time frame. And this album also went gold. That's pretty fucking badass for a heavy metal band in the late 90s. This would be the first studio album to feature bassist Christian Wolvers. Trying to hopefully say his name right. But anyway, the lyrical themes of the album are similar to the movie Terminator, where pretty much the machines took over the world and mankind became obsolete. The singles to the album would be Shock, Resurrection, and Descent. The extended Digipack version features a cover of Gary Newman's Cars, featuring Gary Newman himself on vocals. A gold record of the obsolete album was to be auctioned off for the benefit of Chuck Schuldner's cancer treatment. And if it matters, it went number 77 on the Billboard 200. And practically every album by Fear Factory is really good, but I find this one to be my favorite overall. The songwriting and production is fucking awesome. The guitar, the bass, the drums are fucking big. The vocals are fucking insane. And I like his delivery on the clean vocals a little better than the ones before that. Next up, we have one of my favorite bands, Crowbar, with the album Oddfellows Rest, originally released on Mayhem, Fierce, and then Spitfire, and then a bunch of other labels, blah blah blah. But yes, this is their 5th album, and the first album to feature Sammy Duet on guitar, formerly of Acid Bath and currently of Goat Whore. And I'm having a hard time deciding. This might be my favorite album, but I do have like a top 3. This is also the final Crowbar album to feature drummer Jimmy Bower, and this album is a masterpiece from start to finish. The intro is fucking great, where it builds up into the song Planets Collide, and Planets Collide is also in like every set Crowbar plays to this day. This is the time frame when Crowbar started with the new melodic guitar sound they were doing, and this is kind of what they were doing for the records afterward. This album features a lot of hooks and clean vocals, but it doesn't take away from the aggression they still contained. And it's hard for me to pick my go-to tracks on the album. I might have to pick And Suffer Is One, To Carry the Load, 1,000 Year Internal War, Oddfellows Rest, and On Frozen Ground. There's something about this album. When I drove home at night, with most of the songs being slow, it was kind of a relaxing drive, and it was kind of haunting hearing the title track. So if you're just getting into the band, definitely check this out. And here's one we've all been waiting for back in the day, Black Sabbath Reunion. And this one came out on Epic Records, the same label Ozzy was on. This would be a 2-CD set of the original lineup of Tony Iommi on guitar, of course, Geezer Butler on bass, Ozzy on vocals, and Bill Ward on drums. And it features 2 bonus studio tracks, Selling My Soul and Psycho Man. The live concert audio was recorded in December of 1997, and the 2 studio tracks were recorded in April and May of 1998. Black Sabbath won their first Grammy for this album, for the track Iron Man in the year 2000. Who would have fucking thought they should have won a Grammy long time ago? And the late Jeff Nichols also provides keyboards for the live set, and the entire concert was at NEC in Birmingham, England. I was lucky myself to see this original Black Sabbath lineup at Ozfest 99 in Devore, California. The whole thing was fucking great, that whole set. Most of the bands were fucking awesome, but I had a really bad case of sun poisoning the next day. And back in 1994, during the Tony Martin fronted era of Black Sabbath, with Geezer Butler and Bill Ward part of the lineup, it looked like it was hinted that this reunion was going to happen. And too bad it took 15 years for the band to make an album with this lineup, minus Bill Ward. Also another favorite band of mine, but definitely not my best album pick, but here we go. Van Halen 3, Warner Brothers. This is the only album to feature vocalist Gary Cherone from the band Extreme, but their 11th studio album overall. It is also the last album to feature bassist Michael Anthony, who only appeared playing bass on 3 tracks. This was pretty much an experimental album, with Eddie Van Halen of course covering his guitar, most of the bass guitar, and I think he did all of the drums. He even sang lead vocals on the track, but I'm not going to get into that one. But the song Without You is the single for the album. It's pretty good, but I love the song Fire in the Hole. The One I Want is also a good track, but I'm really drawn to the instrumental intro to the album called New World, featuring Mike Post on the piano while Eddie plays the acoustic guitar. This album sold gold, but it was a commercial disappointment for Van Halen standards, which is kind of understandable because the new frontman, the new sound that they were doing, and a lot of the fans were fixated on either David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, so a new face in the band was not going to look too well. In a lot of ways, people would consider this a solo Eddie Van Halen record over a Van Halen band record. Thank you for checking out Mean Street Journal. Until next time, be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the bell. Also, Spotify, YouTube, and go on tpublic.com for Mean Street Wear for all your offensive apparel needs. And if you got any suggestions, hit me up in the comments. And if you don't dislike my shit, feel free to donate. The links are in the description. See ya.